Welcome back, everyone, to Paddling Pool 212. We are getting into the third set, and we are about to get into it. I am Zari, and I am joined by the lovely Hat. We are about to get into the first game of the set, which is Rainmaker Scorch Gorge.
I love
Thoughts on that?
Scorch Gorge. Just to spite everyone who hates Rainmaker Scorch Gorge, because a lot of people hate Scorch Gorge. I think it's pretty good. I like Scorch Gorge. Anyway, we have Persistent Flying Sirens, which is sort of like bootleg Anxiety Sirens, versus Project K. I actually haven't put the players of Project K, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty strong. So let's see what these teams are going to bring here to the table. We see Project K in the turquoise greenish color and bootleg Sirens. That's a joke. Persistent Flying Sirens into the orange. Starting it strong already. May coming out with that Explosion. And Mr. Cat coming out with that Custom Junior. That's a weapon you don't see very often. Also, those dualies, which I literally forgot the name because they're so obscure. They're also just chilling there. The Glugas, thank you. They're also chilling there. But Project K not looking too hot as they already lost 3 players. And it looks like Anxiety Sirens here is 16 exactly. Persistent Flying Sirens are already going in, trying to get that first checkpoint. May is super close, jumping on to getting the first checkpoint. A very strong start for Persistent Flying Sirens.
Yep, they are already through that and looking like they're going to pick it up and keep running it. May really just wants to get as far as possible with this, and with a wipeout, I don't think that's going to be difficult. I think this might just be a straight KO. There we go. Oh my goodness, yeah. Project K didn't really get to do much that game, except see a lot of spawn.
Project K, more like Project KO'd.
Oh my god, that's so bad.
That's very mean, I'm sorry.
That's so bad.
Anyway, that's the second 100-0 knockout we see today. We are only in the third round of this tournament. Like, can they slow down?
No, they cannot.
Can they actually slow down a little bit? Because that is absolutely crazy. We're going on to the next game though, which will be Splat Zones on Manta Maria. You can't go on Manta Marina. You can't go 100-0 super quickly. Yeah, it's good that we've had Splat Zone second, because it means that even if you get a rush of a first one, Splat Zones at least like slows down the game at least a little bit, so you can see a bit more of what the players can do. But at the same time, as we were saying last round, that's really hard to come back from for Project K. They saw mid once, and then never again. And then all of spawn. And really, how much of mid did they really see?
Yeah, not much. Not much. Not really, yeah. Persistent Flying Sirens are unlikely to give them very much room to move this next game, but it will have to depend what Project K bring to the table here. Are they going to change a comp? Are they going to play more aggressive? What is their like thought process going into this next game? Because they can't really play the same, right? Not after that first game.
No, I don't think they have to do something different. I mean, look at their comp as well. Like, they had some very unique weapons, but you know. The Custom Junior and the Glugas aren't particularly the strongest, though Bananas, I can't say that, I'm gonna call him Bananas actually did have the 5-star Glugas badge, so they're keen on playing it, and they're playing it here again. Custom Junior also in normal Splatter Shot, ironically enough, so that's a Zuka. And then a 52, so they're keen on their weapons, and hey, more power to them. If they're strong with it, they can make it work, but the first game, it looks like they didn't make it work at all, and the first zone capture is going to Persistent Flying Sirens. Didn't even need to get a splat to get both of the zones in control. Here comes the Ink Track, here comes the Crab Tank as well. That's one player down. Moo is looking at the second player. Moo couldn't get the second player. Unfortunately, Comro is going in with the Tri-Starter, looking for those splats with an assist on the teammate. Got the splat there as well onto Zewa, I believe, with that splatter shot. Now, Mitch is coming in with that 52 Gal, is gonna get a splat on Conroe, which gets splatted in return quite quickly, and that's a late 3 players down for Project K. And Persistent Flying Squids is starting out their defense here. The zone is neutralized. Ooh, very good splatter shot by Zalba onto May. The zone is in control of Persistent Flying Squid, and Project K have to do something about it fast.
Yes, indeed. They have been trying to get a hold of mid, but even whenever a number of persistent flying sirens go down, they just cannot get enough of them out to actually like get settled here. Because yet again, one thing as well that is not in their favor is because of May's ability to just hold ground with this Explosher, it is very, very difficult for them to get May out, especially if they don't have a Trizuka up online for them. So, as we're seeing right now, Persistent Flying Sirens still have zone, still working on those points, and 2 down on the side of Project K. There's not really much they can do right now.
No, it's not a whole lot they can do with all. The penalty of Persistent Flying Squid is also now over. It's going to be a crucial turning point for Project K because they only have 3 points on the board and not 3 penalties. They can start from 100 to 0, but they got a full wipeout here on Persistent Flying Squids, and that's exactly the thing they needed to get one of the zones back into control. And starting off their defense, they're finally getting a somewhat of a grip, some form of hope. The defense is going in strong. They still have a special remaining, and the second special is on the way with a special at 65. They're going against it slowly, but now they have to fight against a crab tank. They also have to fight against an inkjet. It's going to be difficult. The Teletank almost is special ready as well, meaning they have to get rid of some ink strikes too. Conroe pushing one player off the map, or at least they follow up. That's unfortunate. To get the spat on Mitis as well, who tried to go up. Didn't see Conroe there. That's unfortunate, because then you mean you lost 2 players in a fight. You didn't really want to lose anyone. Zawa also lost a fight. I don't think so. The Glucose also lost a fight there. Unfortunately, it was Banana. Banana lost a fight there as well. It's going to sting so much because now Persistent Flying Sirens is in control of those zones yet again.
Yes, indeed. They're working away at that penalty point. They want to get even further than that 28 right now. And it's looking like they're going to be able to. But it does depend on Project K if they can get in and if they don't lose people while they do it. Unfortunately, that Trizuka was not able to find its mark there, and Mr. Cat here having to fight a player behind, while they still were not getting in quite as much as they wanted to. Yeah, this is not ideal for Project K. This is looking like it might just be another KO.
Yeah, the crab tanks are not gonna help it one bit at all. They still have a chance to push in and neutralize the zone. They're going in deep, but then it gets better than Mr. Cat. Unfortunately, if you fight against 2 inking players, a Explosher and I believe a Tri-Slosher there was, is not going to be enough. A good attempt from Project K, but unfortunately for them, it's a 2-0 again for Persistent Flying Sirens, taking them a good round. I think every round so far has been a 2-0, right?
Yeah, every single round we've seen a 2-0. It's started, except for the first one, the first round, it started incredibly strong, and then the second game, which has been Splat Zones, has gone back and forth, but still been kind of consistent with the player or the team that took the original game. They've still had that leg up and that snowballing kind of effect there on their momentum. And even with the very first game with Myopsidus and Sortie on Phase 2, it was a lot more back and forth with both games, but Myopsidus was able to kind of keep their strong momentum from winning the first game into the second. So that is what we've been seeing a lot of today. Will say, as a commentator, we do always look for those game 3s and those game 5s, but these have been some really good games in the past 3 sets, even though they have been 2-0s. So, absolutely.
I agree there. We definitely are looking for those super strong games, but hey, what do you do sometimes? It kind of just happens, you know. It kind of just happens. Like, I mean, you don't every single game you get a game where you just see someone getting absolutely destroyed in Clamblitz because it just snowballed down into. And
you don't see those kind of quick Rainmaker pushes straight to 0. Opponent doesn't get out of spawn kind of games that much either. They're a little bit more few and far between than you'd see in Splatoon 2. But funny how they thought that checkpoints would fix that.
I think it was also because of Splatoon. 2 had the issue where, especially at the end, a lot of players stopped because it was just boring. So at some point, you just started seeing the new players and the people who just played because they really liked it, and it kind of also snowballed often.
And then they figured out that they didn't like it. But yeah, absolutely, Rainmaker's a certain kind of mode. But yes, certainly some incredible games there, and especially Persistent Flying Sirens were really good at using, like, at spacing out their opponents, especially in that last game there. Like May and even Conroe with it's a shorter range bucket than you'd normally see him with a machine, but even then they were able to kind of space out their opponents, and also with that crab to make sure that they could do the damage they needed to do without putting themselves immediately in harm's way, which did work out quite well at meaning that Project K there just could not get close enough at pivotal moments to take out the players they needed to take out to take the zones. So very much a very strong strategy from Persistent Flying Squids, or Sirens even. Ugh,
yeah, I keep saying Squids as well.
Yeah, because it feels like it should end with Squids. Because so many other names end with Squids.
Yeah. I think the problem also with Project K, it was just their weapon composition. It was, I mean, it was a splatter shot, a normal splatter shot, mind you, which is not that great in my opinion. It's an okay weapon. I mean, it's a splatter shot. It's not bad, but it's not
but on zones.
I mean, it's not. I mean, compared to the 10 attack splatter shot, I think the 10 splatter shot is miles better. It has a better bomb. It has a better special. It's a lot more. It offers us a lot more utility because, well, you can also play a I don't know, special medic if you want to play a special that bad, and also want to play the regular special medic. It's just better. Yep. It's more accurate. It does the same damage. It has better
consistent range on that special.
Yeah. So it's also easier to use a special than the Inksuka. I think Inksuka or Trizuka, because you only have 3 shots, can be very difficult to use properly. Though that said, Zawa did get some good splats with Inksuka. So
yes, and they were important splats, especially on May. Getting that was maybe only at the times whenever May was really pushed up did anyone else really get anywhere close to killing May, and maybe killing May a couple times. But I think that Trizuka was the only thing that could kind of get May out of the rest of their weapons, because they just couldn't get close enough.
I think it's more like a part of the glue guys have to do it, because when the glue guys stick together, it actually becomes a 96, I believe, in terms of damage and range. But it just those glue guys, it could not get close because the weapon is just so incredibly slow and inconsistent. As much as I love seeing stuff like that, it's just so difficult to make those weapons work because the weapon kits aren't that great. The main weapon itself isn't also that good compared to the dualies that are in the meta, the Tetra dualies, which are stupid strong and also free as hell.
Yep.
So I think that's a little bit of work for Project K to look at their weapon comps, and sometimes you kind of have to drop a little bit of what you really like to play for something that's a little bit better. I mean, I'm not saying they have to drop the Glugas entirely, and they definitely have scenarios where I'm like, yeah, that might just be the one weapon, the round off your weapon comp. There definitely are those kind of moments, but I think if they switch to a 10 attack, splatter shot, and a Tetra dualies, I think their composition would have been a lot more utilized and often offer them a lot more utility than the current weapon comp that they had. But hey, you gotta start somewhere. I think Project K is pretty new into the scene. I haven't seen it before. You gotta start somewhere, and I still don't think in this Platforms game they did bad, because they didn't get knocked out 100-0, so they definitely bought a lot of time and even got a wipeout against Persistent Flying Sirens, which I think was a pretty good wipeout.
Yep, yes indeed. And also, it's important to note that following on from what you were saying about team comps, it's good to have a preferred team comp, but also to have some kind of variation that you can pull out in game 2, right? So if game 1 goes horribly wrong and your matchup is not ideal against the team that you're having to play against, that you can put, like, you have some kind of pocket weapon that can change up your comp some way, like either fundamentally or just pivot it can make all the difference. And yes, you've lost that game 1, but remember, the other team's expecting the exact same thing from you second game. So they are probably not going to change anything up. So you can, a lot of the time, find a counter for that. But it's all dependent on what you're able to do as a team, how you can actually fundamentally kind of work with that. So that's just important to keep in mind as a team, that there are ways that you can surprise your opponents that don't necessarily mean you need to learn, like, you know, all the weapons or be the most flex player ever. But having another weapon that isn't the, you know, that plays a different kind of role or plays the role that you love playing a bit differently can make all the difference in those times that you feel like you don't know what to do, right?
Yeah, it does help a lot, but hey, they're a bit of a newer team, I think, so I don't expect them to, you know, bring out their A game. You gotta, I mean, we all started out somewhere. I think we all made that mistake at some point where we only had one weapon we were very comfortable with, and no, those moments you kind of have to learn from, and hey, that's okay, right? I encourage it, right? Maybe you're gonna lose. I mean, I don't know how many tournaments I lost until I finally won one, and it was a smaller one, but hey.
It was still a win. 100%.
Still did it. It only took a couple years. I definitely wish I had the time still.
Yeah,
don't.
same.
But hey, if you have the time, like, come on, definitely go for it. And you know, like you said, yeah, you want something to fall back on, something to surprise. And you know, it doesn't even have to be like a lot of different weapons. Like, hey, you can play, let's say, the normal splatter shot, and then suddenly whip out a teledeck splatter shot. The primary weapon functions still the same, the playstyle might be a bit different. You can still switch to that weapon very comfortably, and then you suddenly have a different utility, but your opponents have to play different around you just because you swapped out your special and your sub weapon. So I think with moments like that, you can really, I think it's an art that you can really play around the different kind of weapons and, you know, stuff that you're comfortable with, without even having to switch to a whole new main weapon. I think because that's the hardest thing to learn, right? It's like a new main weapon. Like switching to a different variant for weapon, I think is pretty easy.
Yep.
You might have to adjust your playstyle a little bit from like super aggressive to maybe slow it down a little bit and just try to focus on getting your special and try to space out a little bit more. But other than that, you don't have to go for a full new set of statistics, full new jump accuracy, a new build. Because often builds translate very well from one weapon to another. You might have to make some slight variation of it, but I think the core of your main weapon still, you know, it carries over quite quickly or quite nicely. So for that, I think it's pretty good to have variant. But other than that, you might also want to swap out something completely different, just so you can surprise your opponent and bring something else to the table. Because if your primary weapon isn't that strong, like the glue guys, for example, then it's gonna be difficult.
And it also doesn't mean that like your entire team comp has to change. There are ways that you can just have, you know, 1 or 2 fundamental components of a team comp change, and that can completely shift it. So there's definitely ways to make it work without having to practically change your entire comp to be something fundamentally like completely separate from what you were playing the first game. But yeah, it's the little things that can make a difference when you feel like you don't know what to do. 100%.
I think we are going on a small break for a little bit because I think the group stage is just ended or is about to end. So we're gonna give everyone a good break to get into the single elimination stage. We'll be right back with some more paddling pool in a minute.